Hi, this is Kamala Murphy, your host for the She Moves Mountains podcast. This podcast is especially for women to support and encourage and empower all of us as we face and move our own particular mountains, to help us remember that this life is full of joys and struggles, that we all fall down, but we're meant to rise up again and to be amazing, each of us in our own unique ways. And hopefully, this podcast will remind all of us that although the journey can seem really lonely at times, we're not alone. We're all in this together. So it's really important for us to reach out and get the support that we need. So thank you for listening. Hi, this is Kamala. Welcome to this episode of the She Moves Mountains podcast. I'm so grateful that you're here. Let's dig in. Today, I am so excited to welcome a really special guest, a longtime friend who I've known over 10 years now, I think. And I'm just so excited about sharing this podcast with her, sharing her wisdom, her information with all of you. She is just an amazing spirit, guide, teacher, speaker, storyteller. So let me introduce her. Her name is Harriet Tubman Wright. She's the director of the Wright Resort, Your Soul Safari to Success. And in that, she guides spiritual women, executives, and entrepreneurs to fulfill their soul's calling. So no wonder I love her, right? So these women can live healthy, purposeful, and prosperous lives, doing just what they love most. She mentors them to express their true essence and share their soul-aligned gifts to transform their businesses, organizations, and communities. She helps women develop clarity and confidence about their soul's call to action and their role in the global movement for freedom, justice, peace, and environmental sustainability. Harriet is an accomplished speaker and storyteller, published author and poet, person-centered expressive arts facilitator, seasoned metaphysician, initiated elder and priestess, and your guide to be fulfilled and free. So welcome, Harriet. I am so glad to have you here with us.
Thank you. I appreciate being here. I'm excited as well.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, you and I have known each other for probably over 10 years.
Well over 10 years.
And I was thinking, one of the first things that we shared is that you claimed being the high priestess, which is something that, as I say it, I still get chills. It's like, that was so powerful and so true. You have this elegance about you, and high priestess just sounds like, no doubt. So I'd love to hear a little bit about, obviously a priestess is going to be helping people, guiding people to their soul's calling. So I'd love to hear a little bit about how your soul's calling how it came to you, how you recognized it. Love to hear all that story. So,
well, the truth is, it came to me in around 1985 in Nairobi, Kenya. I wanted to create something called the Wright Resort, a place where people could be taken care of, take care and be taken care of. However, it really came to me at a time as well when I was at the Optimum Health Institute And I spoke with the director and I said, this is really what I want to do, but I don't have any money. I don't have any land. Da, 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 da. She said, look, what you see now, what you see here is not what we started with. We didn't even have the money to buy this property, but the owner believed in our purpose and enabled us to get this property. We started with 10, 12 volunteers, and every day we just continued as others saw the vision. So her point was, start where you are. Start with what you already have. And so with that, I said, okay, I'm going to just start doing my salons, which are workshops, body, mind, spirit workshops. I arranged to have a friend host it. I invited all these friends. We had a wonderful time. I did a couple more of those things. And then when my son became a senior at UC Berkeley, I said, I've done my duty. I can't stand it any longer. I'm retiring. And so when I retired from the city of Oakland, it was to devote full time to the Wright Resort. So that's what I've been doing since about 2008.
Awesome. And how, aside from this woman speaking to you, or the director speaking to you, was there something else that sort of had been bubbling up inside with your calling?
Well, as I said, when I was in Malindi, Kenya, I just, I'm looking at the beautiful Indian Ocean and I'm thinking, I want to create something to take care and be taken care of. A resort, a sanctuary, a place where women can come and be taken care of. A whole self, just be taken care of, learn self-care practices, relax, unwind and refresh. And so this was something that that came to me, but life gets in the way, responsibility gets in the way, everything if you allow can get in the way. But this was my passion. And as I said, once I fulfilled my duty of seeing that my son completed college,
launched,
I felt,
right?
okay, I'm going to devote full time to this. And so I answered my soul's calling at that point.
Yeah. So it had been bubbling for
for
a number of years.
For a while, absolutely.
Yeah. So why, you have or did put your calling on the back burner when you were raising your son. And I'm sure that's one reason. Are there other big reasons that women put those callings on the back burner?
I think it's often to raise a family. It may be to work outside of the home. It may be working to support your husband or your partner. Well, the kids grow up, the husband, you retire, the husband leaves, whatever, you come to a place of transition. And then what was that passion that I put on the back burner? And bringing that forth, not only the passion that I put on the back burner, but at this time in my life, how can I use my skills, my talents, my gifts, perhaps differently or in another capacity? I'm seasoned now. I have something that I can share and give. But it's very typical for many women to follow other people's agenda, to help other people's dreams be fulfilled, putting our own on the back burner. And so it certainly was my story. And I think it's very typical that we even though on the airplane, they say, pour your oxygen mask down first.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're so busy taking care of other people, doing stuff for others, that we forget about who we are. And obviously we can't be our best unless we're taking care of ourselves first.
Right.
And so again, I think we're really born knowing what it is we're here to do, but we get distracted.
Yeah.
Somebody believes we ought to be this, or the family always does this, and therefore you ought to do this. This is what I want you to do. It was certainly the case for me. I mean, I'm a creative person, and my creativity is really what kept me going.
Yeah.
I sewed my own clothes. I fashion modeled. I played violin. I was in the Modern Dance Honor Society. All of this was creativity. And my father said, you don't know what you want to do, so you go to college so you can get a good education, so you can get a good job, and you don't have to depend on a man. So that was my programming.
Yeah.
Following his dictates, so to speak, which again is very, very typical. And, to be able to create my own business, to be able to serve other women, yes, I get guidance, I get training, but I still get to co-create it.
Right. Yeah. And I think, you mentioned, the parental or the society, sort of brainwashing us in large parts so that we think that, raising a family is what we really want. When there's something that's still bubbling inside, it's like causing almost like a discontent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yes. It's interesting, the people who know what they want to do and they follow that passion, they learn to play piano or drums, or and their parents recognize that. So they support that. And I certainly was supported to play violin, to dance, and all of those things. But again, within our family, there was an edict: go to college so you can get a good job.
Right. Yeah. So for those women that you really do work with and want to serve, is there something that, how do they recognize that now is the time that I need to do things differently? There's this, like I said, a discontent. What happens typically for the women?
I'm smiling, but usually, or many times, it's a health challenge. You are so stressed. You are so frustrated. You are so overwhelmed. You are so angry. And all of that shows up in your body.
Yeah.
You may have a breakdown, which becomes a breakthrough. You can be depressed. You can be physically sick. And that's like, I can't continue doing this. I have a former colleague on Sunday night. She would, in her sleep, she'd be grating her teeth. And eventually she had to go to a dentist and understand this only happened on Sunday night, the day before I have to go to work.
Fascinating. Wow.
And so oftentimes it can be a health challenge, be it physical or mental or emotional. And it's like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I cannot sustain myself doing something that is not healthy for me. I want to say doing something I hate. But
Right.
some people are involved in because they've got a family to support. They're the breadwinner. People are counting on them. And so they just keep doing it until, they can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So I find that it's usually some kind of health challenge that
Right.
really says, okay,
Yeah.
I'm stressed and frustrated to the point that I can do nothing.
Right. Right. So that, so if they're not paying attention to that, that just exacerbates the health challenges, and then they can get really sick. And
Yeah.
yeah. So
That's often the final straw.
yeah.
Sometimes you get hints and you don't pay attention.
Right. Right. Until it's like bed rest or, or worse, real
Yeah.
life threatening, because it can get to that point.
I think that the level of stress, frustration, overwhelm, again, following somebody else's agenda or living someone else's dreams instead of your own.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. So can you give us, just so people can really get clear about this, do you have an example of someone who has not been paying attention, and then just how she comes to you? Was there a particular
I have a former client who was working in the public health sector, and she was very creative, and she believed in self-care, and I went and I did lots of training, but she had a supervisor who I think was not appreciating who she was, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And so she'd keep getting written up, for whatever written, so then, that was affecting her personnel file, but it was also affecting her. It's like, I can't do what I believe I should be doing. And now she is a mindfulness trainer. She does mindfulness. She moved to a different department with a supervisor who has a bit more openness.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's bringing mindfulness not only to the staff, but to the people that they serve. Mm-hmm. And so she has been freed to be who she really is meant to be, to share a talent and skill that goes well beyond her work setting. But, that's an example of someone that I worked with who is clearly in her zone now.
Yes, which is great. And I think that's because we can talk about health, and some people will just like, yeah, well, I'm still fine. But there are other indicators like, getting written up all the time. And
well, and I can share in my own case when I was working with the fire department. I was working with the community emergency preparedness and response, and it had been part of a particular part of the department within the fire department, and they said, we want to move it to this other. And I said, I'm not doing that. And so I was written up for subordination. My salary was docked. I had to go to something called a Skelly hearing and pretend that I was sorry that I said that.
Mm.
And and they did that. I went through it and da-da-da-da-da-da. But, at the end of the day, these people don't appreciate me. They don't know what to do with me. Mm. I'm so out of here.
Yeah. Yes. So, ladies, be listening. These little warning signs, and I think that discontent that, you've got something, your soul is calling to you. Now, how are you going to listen to?
Well, and the point is my work within the community was fine, but it was in a military hierarchical command structure. And you know what? That's not me.
Yeah. We creatives do not do well in the command and control. Like, no.
Well, and even in other jobs, I actually did well in my jobs, but on the side, I'd be doing all this other stuff. I'd go and learn calligraphy, or, I'd be doing all these things that were stimulating to me creatively.
Yeah.
Writing my poetry books, just doing, extracurricular activity after work or on the weekends. So, all of these are indicators. And, I it's not always easy to make the leap, so to speak, or to really say, I've had it. And that's why, working with a coach, or working even with a minister, working with someone who can help you sort through your feelings, but also to sort through the possibilities. Yeah. What are the opportunities? What are the possibilities? Let's explore, which is, a mind opening kind of opportunity.
Right.
And then, then maybe the juices begin to start flowing as you look at what's possible.
Yeah. And what are your innate gifts? What has, the Creator gifted you with that you're meant to be expressing?
Precisely.
Yeah. So what does it look like when a woman or man, I suppose, gets this calling and starts to listen?
I'll give you the example of a salesperson or an image consultant. You go into the store, you see this, you see that, and you say, oh, I'll try on this. Oh, no, I think, would you consider trying on this? And then they start accessorizing you, and then it's like, oh, you look like $1 million. That people start asking for this person. The word gets out, and they want to be helped by this person because they glow. They are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Even, the first violinist or the harpist, there is such joy, and they have an energy that attracts you to them. They radiate, and, they are so on doing what they were, even if they weren't being paid, because it's their joy, it is their passion to serve in this way.
Which is clearly where you are.
You've been in.
When you're talking like this.
But you've been around people who, they might be an entertainer, they may be a salesperson, they may be a graphic designer. I mean, but they're doing what they're meant to be because they are so energized. Yes. And they are so expert. And it's almost, it's natural for them because this is their passion.
Yeah.
That's what you want to be around, people who are passionate and excited.
And they're actually then expressing there's not just the calling, but the soul's expression, really.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what we're meant to be and do. It's like you were born to be somebody, you were born to do something. And when we are in that zone, no, there's no stopping me now. Because we're free.
Yeah.
We're free.
Yeah. So this sense of joy and sort of radiance seems like those would be indicators of your soul's calling or your soul's expression. But what if someone either doesn't trust that? What are some other ways that they might discover or rediscover what their soul expression is?
Well, one of the things that, and you said it, recognizing what your natural gifts are, the things that bring you joy, natural gifts or talents. And so if I'm working with someone, I help them to re-look at, well, you know what? When you were 10 years old, what was exciting for you? Or what do you remember about a certain period? What turned you on? What was exciting? What do you do well and enjoy doing? What is your, describe a talent that you have that's like a God-given talent. You really didn't have to be trained. You just came out doing it. And so those are some ways that a person can begin to say, well, I know it's not this, but this is what turns me on. This is what I get juiced about. This is what excites me. And this is what I do well. Mm-hmm. And I love doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bring it on.
Yeah. So I have to say this. For those of the listeners who wind up watching the video of this, you have to see Harriet just as she lights up, because clearly this is your soul experience. You light up and you're so enthusiastic. So to me, this just feels like this is an indicator. So if you,
yes.
When you're like this, when you feel like this,
yeah,
this is something
absolutely.
That's a God gift,
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, so you had said something to me about the soul's calling and the soul's call to action. And could you explain what the difference between those might be, or how they fit together?
Well, you have your soul's calling, what it is you're here to do. And when I say soul's call to action, I mean something is going on within you or outside of you. Right now, we're in a very challenging time. Uncertainty. We're in a changing paradigm, and you might be a musician, for example, but your soul's call to action now is to create Zoom or Facebook Live playing your instrument so that you are serving a broader audience. You are healing people with your music. That to me is a soul's call to action. It says, I'm doing my soul's call, but the call to action is, these are the circumstances. How can I share my gift even based on there's something going on out here in the world. And I can still do my thing, but let me do it on a different level, in a different way, so that I am responding, healing, inspiring, energizing, uplifting people with my gift.
Yeah.
So that to me is a soul's call to action. It's like taking it up a few
right
levels in response to something that we are feeling individually and collectively.
Right. Cool. So there's probably a lot of that going on, and it's kind of like, and are we listening? Because sometimes that can be a challenge, or not frightening necessarily, but stretching. It really stretches.
Well, it is stretching, and I've had the opportunity to participate in lots of cultural and artistic events that I would not have gone to. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have paid and gotten dressed up to go to it. Right. But now I have the opportunity, because these artists are stepping up.
Mm-hmm.
They're a muralist. Well, now their murals, are all, so that's, I think even someone who is an accountant or, all right, how am I going to adjust with all of these clients who may not have the resources to come to me to get their taxes done?
Right.
So how can I serve them during these times? So I think it's really a response to a collective transition or transformation. So it's just taking it to another level.
Yeah.
And I mean, for myself, I'm taking advantage. I mean, I am a lifelong learner for sure, but there are opportunities now for me to expand, to up level. And I'm taking advantage of that so that I can fulfill my soul's call to action, so that what I'm doing, I can move to another level, preparing myself to be more visible, be it through podcast, be it through webinars, in whatever way, beginning to, and even, we all belong to certain groups. We belong to spiritual groups. We belong to business groups. There are organizations that we are affiliated with. So what can I bring to that situation to help up-level the group? How can the group or the organization operate to be more responsive or to be more supportive?
Yeah.
So I think, a little imagination, a little courage.
Yes. So as you were speaking, it dawned on me that because these are times of transition, I think it's really important to practice self-care. So I know that we didn't talk about this at all earlier, but it was like, so what can we do to really support our beings, our souls in these times of transition and, being stretched?
I'm glad actually that you answered that question, because I am a member of the Downtown Oakland Senior Center, which of course has been closed. And every time we get a newsletter and we have no opening date, well, some of our teachers put their classes on YouTube. And so what I've done, recognizing that, I'm missing, I now just joined an online class, which is an aerobics class. It's just a couple of times a week, but it's more than what I was doing before. There's also an organization called Girl Trek, which recognizes for African Americans the health challenges that we face. So it's about walking, and there's a Facebook group, and 3 and 4 and 5 posts a day where they've walked, the scenery and what have you. So this is a self-care time in nature, with your mask, the social distancing. I think we don't get to go to do our manicures and pedicures. I did a serious foot soak Saturday night. I mean, and my feet were like, thank you. So that's a form of self-care.
Yeah.
I think, obviously our meditation or our mindfulness, the Tai Chi and the yoga, and, so many, again, they're offering these services online now. So, at reduced cost or no cost, because this is what they do and are serving and supporting. So self-care and soul care is really essential for a healthy and purposeful and prosperous life, to be quite honest. I mean, I'll share, I think I have one of my one of my quotes. Well, yeah, I'll share this one. You and I are souls in evolution, ever growing, unfolding, expressing, sharing our gifts and talents in highest service to heal, empower, and transform others. How and what is your soul's calling to action today?
Yes. Yes. Love that. Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners today?
Well, I've really appreciated the opportunity to share, and I really encourage people to take time to be still and to be quiet, to be centered more than once a day. Mm-hmm. I encourage people to take siestas, because that is a sane thing to do in highly stressful times. And it doesn't mean you're not doing anything. You're just taking a break. I have
to say, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I've been needing siestas frequently.
And it's perfectly sane to have a siesta. And if you're creative, playing in the dirt, the gardening, playing in the dirt.
Yes.
It is so refreshing. Yeah. And your plants, your flowers, your vegetables, they like the attention too.
Yes. Oh, so Harriet does have a gift for us called Are You Listening? Your Soul's Calling Journal. And I will put in the show notes where to get that. It is at her website, thewrightresort.com. So.
And that's the Wright, THEWRIGHTRESORT.
Yes, where you can clearly, as you were saying, about, having a place for women, for people to, relax and feel the care and nurturing. Mm-hmm. And Harriet just is amazing at that. So I want to invite everyone to be sure to get that journal. And then I have one last question for you, Harriet, and that is, if you were able to whisper in the ear of a younger version of yourself, what would you love to whisper to her?
I'd say, don't hold anything back. Give it your all. Be free, be free, be free, because that's what you're born to be, free. Do your thing.
Yeah. I get chills. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being with me today and sharing your wisdom and your insight and your beauty and elegance, Harriet. I'm so grateful, and I know our listeners will just love hearing it, just the melody of your voice and just being able to see you and that the wisdom that you exude, this wisdom. So I know that we're all in for this treat. So.
Thank you so very much. I've appreciated this opportunity. Thank you for the invitation, and I invite you to continue doing what you do best.
Thank you. All right, listeners, until next time, thank you for listening, sending love and blessings. Yeah, until next time, take care. Bye for now. You've been listening to the She Moves Mountains podcast, coming to you every week. If you're a woman who wants to move mountains in your own life, please make sure to subscribe or follow this podcast. And if you've laughed or gotten teary or smiled knowingly, thinking, oh yeah, that's me too, please go ahead and rate the episode with 5 stars. It'll be a feel-good thing to do. Thanks a bunch. Lots of love and blessings to you. This is Kamala signing off. Until next week. Take care.